If you watched our last story, you know Victor Lustig sold the Eiffel Tower twice. Most con artists would have retired after that. Victor moved to America instead. Apparently selling one country's most famous landmark just wasn't ambitious enough. Late 1920s America, gangsters, prohibition money everywhere. Victor arrives, not with a gun, not with a gang, with confidence. One of Victor's most famous tricks involved a polished wooden box that looked like a sophisticated printing press. He demonstrated it. Inserted 2 genuine $100 bills, waited. Another genuine bill emerged. His victim believed the machine created money. In reality, the machine had genuine bills hidden inside. By the time the machine stopped working, Victor was long gone. Turns out the machine's real product wasn't money, it was optimism. Another of Victor Lustig's endeavors, the scamming of Al Capone. Now, if you know anything about Al Capone, you know one thing. He wasn't exactly the kind of man you wanted to owe money. Capone ruled much of Chicago's criminal underworld during Prohibition. His empire made millions from bootlegging, gambling, and other illegal businesses. Crossing him wasn't considered a healthy life choice, which makes the next story almost unbelievable. For decades, biographers and storytellers have repeated a tale that Victor Lustig managed to fool Al Capone himself. Historians still debate whether every detail happened exactly this way, but the story has become one of the most famous legends attached to Lustig. Here's how it's usually told. Victor requested a meeting with Capone, not to threaten him, not to rob him, to ask for an investment. He claimed he had a business opportunity that would double $50,000 in just a few months. That's roughly the equivalent of hundreds of thousands of dollars today. Capone agreed. Now, if this were an ordinary con, Victor would have disappeared with the money. But Victor wasn't an ordinary con artist. He locked the cash away in a safe deposit box and left it untouched.
2 months later, he walked back into Capone's office carrying every single dollar. "I'm sorry," he supposedly said. The deal fell through. Then he handed the money back. Every last dollar. Capone was stunned. He'd expected excuses. He'd expected lies. Instead, he saw a man who appeared honest. Funny how honesty becomes suspiciously convincing when everyone else is lying. Impressed by what he believed was Victor's integrity, Capone reportedly handed him $5,000 as a reward. And that's where the trick was hiding all along. Victor had never planned to keep the $50,000. He knew stealing from Al Capone would probably end with his face on a missing person poster. The reward was the target, not the investment. Whether every detail of this story is true or not, it captures something historians do agree on about Victor Lustig. He understood people. He knew that trust, once earned, could be worth far more than money. Victor Lustig had spent years convincing people to hand him their money. But eventually, that wasn't enough. He entered a business that didn't just steal money. It created it. Or at least, he tried to. During the early 1930s, the United States was in the middle of the Great Depression. Banks were failing. Millions were unemployed. Every dollar mattered. And somewhere in the middle of that crisis, Victor became involved in one of the largest counterfeit money operations the country had ever seen. This wasn't a wooden box with a hidden trick. This was organized crime. Skilled engravers carefully copied U.S. banknotes. High-quality printing plates were produced. Fake bills began circulating through American cities. So convincing, in fact, that many people couldn't tell the difference. The U.S. Secret Service, yes, the same agency that protects American presidents today, was originally created to fight counterfeit currency. And they suddenly had a very busy job. Agents followed leads. Compared printing techniques. Tracked where fake notes appeared. Piece by piece, the trail kept leading back to Victor Lustig. Turns out, selling landmarks is flashy. Printing fake money? That's the sort of thing governments take personally. By 1935, the Secret Service had spent months closing in. On May 10th, they arrested Victor Lustig in New York. You'd think, after selling the Eiffel Tower, fooling businessmen, and staying ahead of the law for years, this would be the end. Victor had other ideas. While being held at the federal detention headquarters in Manhattan, he spotted an opportunity. Using knotted bedsheets, he climbed out of a window and made it all the way down the side of the building. For a brief moment, one of America's most wanted con men was free again. Newspapers couldn't get enough of it. Imagine being the officer who had to explain. Well, he appears to have left through the window. But freedom didn't last. Less than a month later, authorities found him in Pittsburgh. This time, there was no dramatic escape. Victor was tried in federal court, convicted of counterfeiting, and sentenced to prison. After years of escaping consequences, the man who convinced so many people to believe impossible stories had finally run out of convincing endings. I'm Sade, and this has been History with Sade. I'll see you in the next story.